UFC 317 takes place this weekend, and in this video, I'm going to be giving you my exact predictions for how I think every fight in the card is going to play out. So without further ado, let's get into the picks. First fight in the card, we got Niko Price taking on Jacobe Smith. I'm not going to bore you with a long breakdown. We're going to take the minus 2,000 favorite Jacobe Smith to find the KO in round 1. Jacobe Smith is 10-0, 4-fight KO streak. He has 8 KOs to his name overall. He's going to be 6 years younger than Niko Price. Niko Price has been knocked out in 4 of his last 10 fights, and Niko Price even got knocked out by Robbie Lawler in Robbie Lawler's retirement fight as like a minus 300 favorite. Jacobe Smith is a multiple-time All-American wrestler, and he was a D1 wrestler for Oklahoma, which is one of the best wrestling colleges in America. I don't know how you can possibly fade this guy, especially against Niko Price, so we're going with Jacobe Smith round 1 KO. Next up, we got Jhonata Diniz taking on Alvin Hines. Alvin Hines making his UFC debut without ever having fought on Tough, without having fought on the Contender Series, without having fought on like a big promotion like Risen. He's mainly just fighting in the LFA, and he's also in his mid-30s making his debut. So for all those reasons, we're taking Jhonata Diniz at minus 300 to get the round 2 KO. Biggest problem with Diniz so far in his career is he comes from a kickboxing background, which means his takedown defense is pretty mid, and also once he gets to the ground, his get-up game is also very mid. So if Alvin Hines just shoots takedowns early and often, he could potentially win this fight. I do think Alvin Hines could get takedowns. Based on what I've seen on the regional footage, he's mainly just keeping it standing. Although his background is BJJ, in theory, Alvin Hines could get this to the mat. But I've yet to see an Alvin Hines fight where he controls someone for 3 rounds. He either gets takedowns late in the fight when it doesn't matter anymore, or he gets a takedown early and finds a finish, which I don't think will happen here. Diniz's only loss against Marcin Tybura, who's top 10 ranked. Just because you got controlled by Tybura and ground and pound, it doesn't mean that a UFC newcomer and Alvin Hines will be able to do the same thing. So sincerely doubting that's a possibility. I think Diniz wins this as long as it stays standing, and he has a 5+ inch reach advantage. So not a Diniz by a round 2 KO. Next up, we got Sedrique Dumas taking on Jackson McVey, which is a surprising fight because I thought Sedrique Dumas was in jail. I even looked it up. Sedrique Dumas jail. You can do it on Google yourself. He literally was in jail last month. So the fact that he was in jail a month ago, there's 0% chance he has prepared for this fight the correct way. Meanwhile, Jackson McVey, multiple fights this year. He's 6-0. I'm going to go with Jackson McVey at minus 125. He has elite BJJ. He has a standing guillotine on his record, a Bravo choke on his record, and he also is pretty good at striking with 3 KOs to his career. So 6-0, 3 subs, 3 KOs. He's fighting Sedrique Dumas, who hasn't landed more than 50 significant strikes in a single UFC fight. He's had about 5. He just looks pretty clueless on the feet. And Sedrique Dumas is takedown or bust. I think if he were to go all in on takedowns, even then I think he would still lose because Jackson McVey has such elite BJJ that I think he will find a submission. He's going to find either a guillotine choke with Dumas shooting a lazy takedown, or I think he'll just find the back of Dumas if Dumas gets lazy on the ground. Now, I am concerned that he's a BJJ nerd, which means if Dumas takes him down, there's a chance he just fishes for subs and just stays on his back for 15 minutes. That is a possibility. But other than that, Jackson McVey has every path to win. He should be like minus 300 here. Sedrique Dumas was literally in jail last month. So, Jackson McVey by round 2 sub. Next up, we got Terrence McKinney taking on Viecheslav Borshchev. Now, it's always tricky when Terrence McKinney is a favorite. Whenever he's a favorite, it's almost like a must bet the other side. But Viecheslav Borshchev is kind of unathletic, I'm not going to lie. He's kind of slow on the feet. And I think this is the perfect opponent for Terrence McKinney to continue his little short win streak that he has. It's only 1 win, but Terrence McKinney minus 170, I think he's going to find the round 1 sub. He averages 3 takedowns per fight, and Viecheslav has a sub 50% takedown defense. So if Terrence were to fight smart for the first time in his life, which is hard to say, he will just shoot takedowns and eventually most likely submit Viecheslav Borshchev. He also, even though he's chinny, and we all like say Terrence McKinney is a meme, he actually absorbs twice less strikes than Slava over a 5-minute span. He actually only absorbs 2.59, while Viecheslav absorbs 4.71. So if this stays at a distance striking, I think Terrence McKinney can win there. And if Terrence McKinney goes for takedowns, I think he'll win there as well. The biggest issue with Terrence McKinney is he's like a round 1 fighter. So more than likely, Terrence McKinney will win the first round. And if Slava can survive that, maybe Slava would be worthy of a live bet because Terrence McKinney's cardio in almost every fight he's had falls off a cliff after round 1. Also, keep in mind, Slava just lost to Tom Nolan, who is a very similar fighter to Terrence McKinney. Just lost a clean decision. Terrence McKinney and Tom Nolan, both chinny guys, both are supreme early finishers, but Tom Nolan won a decision against Slava. Don't know why Terrence McKinney can't win a decision against Slava if Tom Nolan can do it. So for all those reasons, we're going with Terrence McKinney by round 1 sub. So we got Viviane Araujo taking on Tracy Cortez. The easy pick here, obviously, is to take Tracy Cortez by decision. But we're going to go with Viviane Araujo because we don't make easy picks on this channel. Plus 210 to win by decision. She does land more significant strikes than Tracy Cortez on the feet over a 5-minute span. So if this just stays standing for 3 rounds, I think Viviane actually will win a striking battle. She also has an 80% takedown defense, and Cortez will most likely lose this if she doesn't get takedowns. So if this stays standing and Cortez is failing takedowns like Karine Silva was against Viviane, I think Viviane wins there as well. Also, keep in mind, it's WMMA, all right? And most WMMA fights that stay standing with 0 finishing threat from either lady, you should take the underdog because it's a coin flip. It's a coin flip what the judges are going to see. It's a coin flip what the judges are going to judge based on. So at a coin flip, heads or tails, you're giving me plus 200 on heads. I'm going to take heads. Also, Viviane has more UFC experience, and like I said, just fought Karine Silva, who is very similar to Tracy Cortez. Also 3-4 as an underdog. So she's been an underdog in her last 7 fights, and she's gone 3-4. Viviane, that is. So I'll take a dog that's barked before. Viviane Araujo by decision. Next up, we got an absolute banger on our hands. Hyder Amil taking on Jose Delgado. Jose Delgado has 2 fights in the UFC. Hyder Amil, I think, has 3. Both guys are going out there and finishing. And if they're not finishing, they're putting up 100+ significant strikes. So, very tough fight to call. But if we're going to, pick based on the outside factors, we're going to pick based on watching the tape. I think the correct pick to make, honestly, I love Hyder Amil, but the correct pick here, I think, is Jose Delgado, minus 170 to get a round 1 KO. Now, me saying round 1 KO does not mean I think Hyder Amil stinks. I just think he's so defensively unsound that at some point, Jose Delgado is going to find the button. Jose Delgado trains at MMA Masters, I think, which is where Mario Batista trains, where Sean O'Malley trains, Marcus McGee, etc., etc. A lot of good strikers have been coming out of the gym that Jose Delgado is currently in. He's very technical. He has big power. I think he has more power than Hyder Amil. I think he's more technical than Hyder Amil. Hyder Amil just is going to... His nickname is the Tornado. He's just going to go in there and swing like a tornado. So hopefully, Jose Delgado survives the initial tornado onslaught. He has a few holes in his takedown game. So if Hyder Amil goes all in on takedowns, maybe that's a path for him as well. But being 8 years younger than Amil with the exact same UFC experience, I think he's just going to clip Hyder early. I think Hyder, he's 11-0. He has this aura of invincibility about him. I think that aura is going to be shot down by Jose Delgado. Big power in his hands. Delgado about round 1 KO. Next up, we got Jack Hermansson taking on Gregory Rodrigues, and I'm not the first person to say this, but if this was a 5-round fight, I actually might lean Jack Hermansson. But in a 3-round fight, I kind of have to go with Gregory Rodrigues to win by decision. He has all the finishing upside. Jack Hermansson couldn't finish a sandwich, all right? He's a submission guy, but Gregory Rodrigues is a BJJ practitioner at heart. He's not getting submitted by Jack Hermansson. The only way Hermansson wins this is by decision. So Gregory Rodrigues has all the finishing upside, and in his most recent loss against Jared Cannonier, he nearly finished Cannonier in the first round. He got 2 knockdowns in the first round. The only reason he lost is his cardio kind of fell off a cliff. In a 3-round fight against Jack Hermansson, I sincerely doubt his cardio will fall off a cliff. Hermansson has had 3 fights in 3 years, where Gregory has had 6 fights in that same exact time span. Hermansson is also older than Gregory Rodrigues. He's kind of over the hill at this point. Hermansson maybe can win a points battle, but I think RoboCop is going to land the big shots that will turn the rounds in his favor. So for all those reasons, RoboCop by decision. Next up, we got Payton Talbott taking on Felipe Lima, a battle of the prospects with 1 loss. Felipe Lima is mainly a bantamweight, but his only fights in the UFC have been at featherweight. He's moving back down to bantamweight for this fight. Payton Talbott was minus 1,500 in his last fight against Raoni Barcelos. Lost 30-27, is now plus 170 against Felipe Lima, who has less UFC experience than Payton Talbott himself. So we're going to go with Payton Talbott, the underdog, at plus 170 to win by decision. If this stays standing, Talbott throws infinite volume. So Felipe Lima needs to get takedowns to win this fight. And I'm done trusting people to get takedowns that need to get takedowns. I think Felipe Lima will entertain a striking battle for a couple rounds. Whenever this stays striking, Payton Talbott has great power and great volume. He will win every striking exchange in this fight, in my opinion. The problem is Payton Talbott's takedown defense is mid. Everyone says it's mid. But he's faced 45 takedown attempts in the UFC, only given up 11 takedowns. And in every fight except the Barcelos one where he got taken down, he found the finish later on in the fight. So Felipe Lima, if he gets takedowns on Talbott, he could win by sub. You know, he's very tricky on the ground. But if Felipe Lima gets takedowns and doesn't submit Payton Talbott, doesn't finish him on the ground, I think Payton Talbott is just going to double him up on strikes and win a clean decision. So Felipe Lima, you better get your wrestling shoes on, because that's the only way I think you're winning this fight. He got controlled for like 12 minutes out of the 15 minutes, but nearly won some rounds because every time it stayed standing, he was clipping Barcelos badly. Felipe Lima, great prospect. Payton Talbott, great prospect. Prospect versus prospect violence in back-to-back fights. I'm going to lean with the underdog in this one. Payton Talbott to win by decision. And we got Beneil Dariush taking on Renato Moicano. This is a rebooked fight, and the betting lines have shifted tremendously. Moicano was minus 300 in January, but now he's minus 110. Nothing new has happened from now and then. The only new thing that's happened is Moicano fought Islam in 1 day's notice and lost by round 1 sub. So I'm not really sure what the movement is for this betting line, but we're going to go with the guy that opened up as the minus 300 favorite, Renato Moicano, minus 110 to win by decision. I've basically seen every person pick Beneil Dariush. I've seen every person bet Beneil Dariush. I haven't seen one Moicano supporter for this fight, including Moicano himself, because they asked him in the interview with Matty Betts, like, hey, how do you see yourself going with Beneil Dariush? Can it stay kickboxing for 3 rounds? And Moicano was like, yeah, probably. Beneil probably wins that one. Moicano said that himself. So the fact that Moicano doesn't even support himself, and I do, was trying to hunt for a fight where Moicano stayed standing for 3 rounds and won. And Calvin Kattar, who's a more powerful striker than Beneil, who's more athletic than Beneil, Moicano won a clean decision against him where he just stayed standing for 3 rounds. Also, Beneil Dariush, last time he fought like a potent submission grappler, was Michael Chiesa, and Michael Chiesa submitted him in the 2nd round. So this theory that Beneil Dariush has like ironclad takedown defense is not 100% true. I think Moicano, if he fishes for them, he will get them. And if it stays standing, I think Moicano can win a points fighting decision. I think Beneil Dariush is over the hill. He does have like that one-shot pop, but at this stage in his career, I don't think that one-shot pop is going to find the chin of Moicano. And if he gets knocked down and it gets to the ground, I think Moicano can reverse positions and find a submission there as well. Not really sure why everyone's picking Beneil. We're not really sure why everyone's betting Beneil. The fact that I'm getting pick'em odds now is crazy. I'm going to wait to even get dog odds on Moicano at this point before I bet him. Moicano, by decision. Next up, we got Brandon Royval taking on Joshua Van. I think the recency bias is insane on Joshua Van. Yes, he did just defeat Bruno Silva by round 3 KO, but Bruno Silva had a size disadvantage on Joshua Van. Literally every guy that Joshua Van has fought in his career has had a size advantage. The fact that Joshua Van styled on him is because he was bigger than Bruno Silva, who's very hard to be smaller than Joshua Van. So we're going with Royval, minus 120 to win by decision. He has elite striking defense combined with elite BJJ. And he can keep this at a distance because he has a 5+ inch reach advantage. He'll be the much larger guy in the cage. He can win a points fighting battle if he stays on the outside and peppers Van with leg kicks. Van really wins if he keeps this close in boxing range. And Royval, I think, is smart enough to just constantly move around the cage, stay on the outside, hit those leg kicks, get that jab going, maybe mix in some takedowns. This is the best fighter Joshua Van will have fought to this date. He just fought number 13, Bruno Silva. Now he's fighting number 3, Brandon Royval. That's a tremendous jump in competition. And the fact that we're getting minus 120 for Royval, he should be like minus 250 in my opinion. Royval opened as plus 200, so the fact I missed that, I mean, dang. He also just fought 2 weeks ago, so he's definitely not prepared at all to fight a guy like Brandon Royval. There's no fight camp that he possibly could have had that would prepare him for a guy like Royval, who's going to throw lots of volume, and he's going to give him fits with the range. So I'm going to go with Brandon Royval by decision. Brings us to the co-main event, Alexandre Pantoja taking on Kai Kara France. Now, I do have Pantoja picked, but I do want to preface it by saying when I pick a guy that's a favorite and I don't really have good reasoning to pick, I usually go with the underdog. This is the outlier. You know, I don't really have the best reasoning to pick Pantoja, so I should pick Kai Kara-France. But Pantoja is just a dog. That's basically the whole breakdown. Pantoja is an absolute dog. He does what's needed to win fights. He'll relentlessly shoot takedowns if the striking isn't working. Kai Kara-France is 1-2 in his last 3. He's getting a title fight after KOing Steve Erceg, who, debatably speaking, is supposed to be on the not ranked, you know? He kind of got jolted to a title shot, and that's Kara-France's only win in his last 3. Every time he has to step up in competition, he loses. He lost to Roy Val. He lost to Moreno twice. He lost to Amir Albazi by being controlled. Pantoja also fought Kara-France on tough. Pantoja won both rounds of their tough fight, not needing an overtime round. And he was able to do that by mixing in takedowns and then getting Kara-France scared of the takedown, so he wasn't able to plant on his back foot to land a power shot. And if you take away the power shot of Kara-France, he basically has nothing else to offer. So if Pantoja does a similar game plan, get takedowns early, make Kara-France fearful of the takedown, the power will go out the window, and Pantoja will win an easy decision. All those reasons, we're going with the defending champ Pantoja to win by decision. In the main event, Ilya versus Dubronx. Now, I know a lot of people come to this channel to fade, okay? A lot of people come to this channel to see my crazy underdog takes. Lately, haven't really been doing crazy takes with underdogs. We only have, I think, 2 picked on this entire card. And based on my history, based on how I viewed things, I am leaning Charles Oliveira to win. But we're not picking him to win. We're going Ilya by round 1 KO. If Oliveira moves forward like he does in every single fight, he's going to get KO'd by Ilya. It's just that simple. He throws more volume than Dubronx. He gets hit less often than Dubronx. He has one-shot KO power. He has crazy boxing combinations that even Michael Chandler nearly KO'd Oliveira in their last fight. Even Michael Chandler nearly KO'd Oliveira in their first fight. Almost every fight Oliveira fights in, he gets rocked and wobbled at some point. So the question really is, can Oliveira capitalize once it gets to the ground? Can he actually get a submission on Ilya? And Ilya has elite BJJ of his own. He comes from a BJJ background, which a lot of people don't even understand. Ilya has been knocking these people out on the feet, but his background is BJJ. So even if it gets to the mat, we've seen Ilya submit Bryce Mitchell, who has pretty good BJJ of his own. I mean, Oliveira, if he sells out for a backstanding triangle, maybe that can work out. But, man, this is just a good fight. This is one of those fights where it makes me regret, making weekly picks, because I just want to see a good fight. If I mushed Ilya, that's crazy. That's actually crazy. It's a new feat for Finns, if I mush Ilya. But we're going with round 1 KO. First exchange. Think Charles hitting the deck.